with Amara Cash from Daddy Issues. She is the director behind this brilliant film they've got in competition in London. Congratulations and welcome to our festival.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. And I genuinely have seen it's a fantastic film. But for the benefit of the viewers, could you just give us a brief synopsis?
Of course. It's a 19-year-old, it's a coming-of-age story of a 19-year-old girl named Maya.
Yeah.
It's a modern-day tragedy of this young, queer pixie girl, her estranged, neurotic father, and this beautiful, charismatic woman that they're both infatuated with. So it's watching this love triangle unfold and the heartbreak that it brings. And we watch our lead character, Maya, here grow up and face tragedy and become a woman.
Her dad's pretty twisted, isn't it? A bit odd, actually.
It's odd. It's got a dark tone with a beautiful, bright color palette.
Oh, lovely. Okay, yeah, that is beautifully shot.
Thank you. Yeah.
So where did the whole point, where did the start of this come? Where did it all originate? And how did you get drawn into it?
Well, the start of it is I wanted to do a film that explored a bisexual character. I just thought that was fascinating to see someone who was fluid in their sexuality and in their gender, like our character Jasmine here. And from there we developed the story to have the heart of the film, which is Maya, our lead character. And when we started talking about the different conflicts we wanted to bring in and different themes, we gave her a father character, and then it evolved actually that he was also in love with the same girl she was in love with, and that's where a lot of the great juicy conflict came from.
Yeah, well, of course, because they're both in love with the same person, aren't
yes.
they? So the whole the daddy point of it,
yes,
was that right? That wasn't the initial idea. That just morphed into
it. Actually, wasn't the initial idea. The initial idea was just a love triangle with a bisexual character,
right?
And then from there, we thought, how can we make this more interesting, or how can we do something we haven't really quite seen before? And after a brainstorming session with my producer Jenna Sedici and our writer Alex Bloom, we came up with this wild idea that what if the man and the woman that were both in love with Jasmine were actually related? What would that be like?
I bet you've got an amazing producer. I bet she must be one of the best.
She's the best.
Is she?
We shot this in, the principal photography was only 16 days.
Wow.
So a full feature, hour and a half in 16 days. It was jam-packed. We wouldn't have been able to do it if Jenna and I didn't work very closely in pre-production with the scheduling. We had to get it all scheduled out. And then it's actually funny because then when we went to shoot, it started raining in Los Angeles, which it never rains in Los Angeles. So we actually ended up having to switch the shooting schedule around, and then people were getting sick because the weather was changing, and you never know.
Because it must have been like the only time it rained in LA.
It was the only time it rained that year. It was the week of our shoot. But we got through it, and it was amazing. And even watching the dailies, I couldn't even tell that it was raining and everyone was sick.
Tell me what it's like to put a film. I mean, obviously I speak to filmmakers all the time, so I understand the speed is often the essence, but even so, 16-day shoot with a full crew, is it possible to give me a kind of sense of what that's like? Because the reason I ask is frankly, most people that are away from the industry don't they see the glitz and glamour.
Right,
but I know it can be hell on earth.
Yes, so most feature films get a minimum of 30 days to shoot.
Yeah.
So for an hour and a half, having 30 days to shoot is somewhat typical. More if you have more money or it's a big blockbuster.
So 3 minutes a day on average, I guess, is what you're looking at. Yeah.
So then when you think of ours and saying, okay, well, we have to cut that basically in half. So what does that entail?
6 minutes a day, yeah.
Yeah, so for scenes that normally maybe I would do many different setups and shots and do, maybe 6 different shots and angles, sometimes I only did 2. And you just have to choose, and once you make the choice and make the plan, it's just about every day coming into the day with a lot of energy and enthusiasm and just attacking the day. And that's what we did every day. We knew what we had. Jenna was very great about putting our milestones for the day of what we had to get. So I knew every morning I have to get these, 4 scenes in one day, which sometimes, a lot of the times you have the luxury of shooting 1 scene a day. But it's just about staying focused and knowing what you need and what you don't need. Sometimes extra inserts and extra shots, they get cut and you just focus on the meat of it. Get through it.
and it is. I know it's very, very tough, and I'm sure it was from 6 or 7 in the morning to 11 or 12 at night, a lot of days. I suppose what I'm getting at is at the end of the day, the the buck stops with you. I know she's the producer, but I'm talking in terms of you're the director.
Right.
So when there's a problem or there's an issue or you've got to pull things together, I assume, probably wrongly, that they might come to you first in terms of making sure everything's running as it should be, because you're the one ultimately
Right.
calling the shots and shooting the film.
Right.
So I'm trying to get a sense of, let's go back to your very first day of shooting.
Right.
You're driving in, or I don't know, staying in the hotel opposite, whatever you're doing. Suddenly you're like, I'm sure this isn't the case, but a lot of people go, shit, this is real.
Yeah.
You know, this may not be your first one, but even so, the pressure's on. How do you sort of cope with that? Because it's going to happen. There's going to be problems.
Yeah,
there's going to be issues.
It's fascinating.
And they're going to go, bang, come on.
There's a couple questions there. So this is my first feature film.
Right.
So I had made short films. I had a little bit of an idea of what to expect. But with the feature, we did a lot of work in pre-production planning. But yes, when it actually gets there and it's the day, it's a lot of... for me, it's a lot of adrenaline, but I thrive off of that. I love when there's a million different people asking me a million different questions because I have it all in my head. So as long as there's that communication, I get a rush from it, from being on set. I love that rush that I get. It gives me energy and adrenaline, and that's how I get through it. But of course, there's those times where it's a lot to take in, but it's funny, when I was making short films, I didn't think it was that difficult. I could make a short film in a couple weeks. So I thought...
It still sounds like a lot, but I know it's still a lot, yeah.
But I thought, how hard can a feature be? You always hear making a feature film so difficult, it's such a big undertaking, and I thought, how hard can it be? I can do a short film in just a couple weeks. And then when you get into it and you realize everything that it entails, yeah, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but I love it. I feed off of it. It gives me adrenaline and energy. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
You know, because I can imagine that, as an example, I'm not going to say a typical director will fall apart. I'm sure they don't. I mean, everyone deals with things different ways. But there'll always going to be a million and one different answers. I mean, I've had all sorts of answers. You know, some guy said I'm opening the door and there's literally sweat pouring off me, and suddenly there's 40 people in front of me, and like, oh right, shit, it's on me now. And this director actually had been around. He'd done 30 or 40 films, and he actually said, you know, for me the first day is always the same. It's kind of terror. That's his words, not my words. But he said, actually, funny thing is, once I get into the groove, it all sort of drifts away, and you suddenly
you
get
just
on the
focus. Yeah. I like to just focus on the monitor. It's all about, pulling all these pieces together to create the picture. So my focus, there's always a million things going on, tons of questions and people and wardrobe and makeup, but once I see it on the monitor, that's where my focus is. And if I just respect the monitor and respect the picture and keep my focus there, then it's not so scary.
And how does the finished film compare to the, shall we say, the finished draft? Because I know you'll go through drafts.
Right.
Because you might have dropped scenes for expediency, or because
yes.
they just wasn't right. I mean, in terms of the completed article, how is that different?
Yes, actually we did have a character in the film, originally one of the fathers in the film.
Another father, we should say, not the main.
Not the main guy, not Simon, our main father,
yeah.
but another character. That did happen, actually. Some of the scenes didn't quite work. The development, it was a little missed. So we did do a pickup shoot one day where we shot 2 scenes over again. So I think it's about getting in the editing room and being really honest. Is this working? Is this helping the story along?
Right.
And
so you had shot it, but
yes,
it wasn't quite working.
We had 2 scenes that we did shoot, and we got into the edit, and it just wasn't quite working. And after having a conversation with my producer, and we agreed it wasn't working.
Brilliant producer, I should say.
Brilliant producer, Jenna. We agreed it wasn't working, and we decided to do a pickup shoot and rework that character. And I'm very glad we did. And sometimes it's just the courage to say this isn't working, or just to be honest with yourself. And another thing that was very helpful for me in the rough drafts of the rough cut was giving it to a couple people to watch that didn't know the story, and said, what did you get from this? Did you understand this? Are you following this? Did you relate to these characters? And I love getting feedback. I used to be very scared of feedback when I was making short films. I just wanted my artistic experience. I didn't want to hear what anyone's advice. And then when you do a feature and you realize, well, features are made to be watched and distributed. So
Yeah, yeah.
it does kind of matter if people get it and if they can follow along the story. So I kind of went off on a tangent there. But
No. There's honestly, it's a
but
great
there
answer.
was 2 scenes that weren't helping the story, and those 2 scenes we did go back and reshoot and rework, and I'm very happy we did.
And I guess as it's your first feature, I can't imagine you've done pickups on a short. I don't know. I don't suppose.
No, never.
So
I've
this
never
is
done
again
a
a new
pickup.
thing
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
So
Correct.
so does that mean you kind of got organised like a mini shoot all over again?
Yes.
I don't know if you had a full
Yes.
a full crew there. I don't know how it works.
But it was basically a mini shoot months later. So we did our main shoot in 16 days. We started on our edit. We had these couple scenes that weren't quite right, and then we planned our little reshoot, did that, cut those up, put them in, and then there's the story.
Now I know you were talking about feedback, and I've already asked you about how you're feeling before that first day. How did you feel the very first time it was shown in its entirety, complete to an audience? What's going through your mind and stomach then?
For this one or in
Yeah.
general with
No, for
films?
this one.
Today was it.
Oh, this was the very
Today
first?
was the very first screening.
Oh, right, okay.
Today was our very first screening. So, it's nerve-wracking. It's actually more nerve-wracking for me to show the work than to do the work. So
okay.
you were mentioning being on set before and terrifying. I love being on set. I love editing. I love developing the story. For me, it's more nerve-wracking sitting in the room with other people watching it because you're putting yourself out there and.
Because test audiences are not the same as real. That
Yeah.
sounds patronising,
Yes, but
you know
yeah.
what I mean, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So far so good. The people that watched the film today really liked it, so that's a positive.
It's a brilliant film. In fact, I was
thank
talking to, I think it was Ray about it. It might have been Brad, because we were talking about different films to see, and I did mention your one. And it's kind of, it's not. I've seen films that are a little bit similar to this, but nothing quite like this. And of course, for me, the beat of it was the love triangle more than the between. I mean, that's fantastic.
Of course,
yeah,
yes.
of course. But actually, the when you strip away that, I was more interested in how the father was involved in all of this.
Yes.
Because it's a bit of a killer
Daddy
blow.
issues,
Yeah,
hence
daddy
daddy
issues. But
issues, yeah.
it's a killer blow to the whole storyline,
Yes.
really. And I really thought it was fantastically made. I suppose it's hard to ask you then what the reaction has been, as this is your first. But yeah, well, no, perhaps you can tell me about some of the test screens, because you must have had those and perceived an idea.
We showed it to just a very small sampling of people, and so far the people I've been trying to reach out to are people 17 to 35 in the millennial Generation X, and they've really liked it. I think that audiences are ready to see stuff they haven't seen before, see maybe sexual situations or certain types of relationships that we're not used to seeing all the time. I mean, this type of love triangle isn't something you see all the time, and I think people are ready for it. It's something different. So you're asking me how it was received, and I'm telling you what I think about it, but so far it's been so good.
Yeah, they're not too dissimilar though. So right. I can imagine the reaction has been pretty positive.
So far, shocked, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
People have said, wow, I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that, but it took me on a journey, and you took me with you. So that's all I can ask for, is to give people an experience and hope they follow along with the journey.
I was kind of hoping to ask you about the ending. The ending, I know we shouldn't really talk about it, as we shouldn't in any film, but it's probably best to ask you why you decided to go with the ending that you went with.
From which point on, yeah?
Well, the bit, funny enough, we talked about earlier when she was on the bridge and all that. So, because there's any number of ways you could have taken the film, I guess. But why was that kind of chosen? Or was that always the original idea to go with?
For her to go to Italy and
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a theme where there's a young character that has this heart and mind full of dreams, like our character Maya here, who's an artist.
And that's explored through the film, actually. We should sort of mention.
Yes. So it's her lifelong goal to go study art in Italy, Florence, where pretty much art's very respected and started. Yeah. So she has this goal, this dream that she wants to live out, and everyone tells her no, and there's no real path for her to get there. And through entangling herself with this woman, that's the way she actually gets to reconnect with her father. And by reconnecting with her father, eventually becomes the way she gets to go to school. So the ending of her getting to go to school in Florence, Italy, I chose that because I wanted to see a character get their heart broken, which she does in the film, but I also wanted to see the triumph at the end of going off and accomplishing your dreams and living out your goals, but there being that ting of pain that you take with you as an adult. After you first get your heart broken for the first time, or you experience something really traumatic for the first time, like this love triangle was extremely traumatic for our character Maya. Even if you go off and get to accomplish your dreams and get to have big goals, that stays with you. And I kind of wanted the dichotomy of someone living their dreams, but still having a broken heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
The
and
balance of that.
Yeah, it does.
Because that's really what becoming an adult is. You know, you're more naive about love when you're young, which is how she was in the beginning of the film toward Jasmine. And then at the end, she's living out this dream, which should make her the most happy person in the world, but she has a perspective because she's gotten her heart broken.
But it does, that's kind of upbeat, which was nice. It's nice to...
Yes, and of course we want a payoff, right?
Well,
she's gone through hell. Let's give the girl something to live for, right?
So I know it's probably never say never, but now you've done a feature, would it be hard to go back to making short films again?
That's an interesting question, because some people have said, oh, let's get together and make a short. I'm like, but what's my next feature? You've got to do the next feature. But I'm open to all of it. I love music videos, so short contents. I came from short content, from making short stuff. So would it be hard to go back to it? That's your question?
Yeah.
You know, a feature was such a long undertaking. It could be nice to do a short piece of content because you can complete it sooner. But my heart's always wanted to do feature films. So, of course, I'm yearning to already do the next one. So would it be hard to go back? I can't say. I guess we'll see. But
it all depends. I mean, if something
I guess it depends on the subject
the mother
matter.
of all scripts was 15 minutes long. I doubt you're going to say no to it.
Of course, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very open to short content as well, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you so
film.
much.
Thank you.
And thanks for putting on such a wonderful event this week. We've had such an amazing time.
Thank you.
And we've met great people, and I've already learned so much from the panels and just everything you guys offer. It's been an amazing experience.
That's
and
wonderful.
We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you giving us our first screening opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Waking up to a new day. I don't care what anybody says, 'cause you take me out of my head and you put me in a new place. I like it 'cause it never rains. I love how I forget the pain.
Hey.
Hi. I just walked down Bancroft until I found the car that almost killed me.
This is what it feels like being loved. We can chase our dreams and not give up. We know that we're not perfect, but there's no reason we should run. So take my hand, we're chasing down the sun. Love the way you just flow, always keeping me on my toes. Not worried about the unknown, so I'm not afraid to get close. I feel
Why don't you
like
take me out for once?
I feel like I can breathe you. So teach me how